Hello, and welcome back to this series we're doing on Vigny cane fighting. So far, everything we've been looking at has been very much centered on what I would call edge play, edge-orientated play. So if this was a sword, I've been doing a lot of cutting. Yeah, we've been moving side to side, we've had our TikToks. All of this works off that kind of cutting motion. However, the astute amongst you will realise that there's an end. And in fact, because it is actually a physical object that exists in this world, it has two ends. So we can use both of those as well, which is what I want to have a brief look at today. So if Andrew comes into the normal guard here, you'll notice from this normal guard position here, I'm actually already on line to deliver a very obvious thrust. And one of the most obvious thrusts I've got is just to lunge forward and deliver that point into my opponent's chest. Which sounds great. However, it is by far the easiest thing in the world for Andrew to parry. Yeah? So it's not something I'm likely to go for as a lead-off technique, although that is one of the thrusts we're going to use. What I'm much more likely to do is cause him to parry across. So if I come in with an attack on this side, so he's parried, if I then draw it back, I may well be able to get it online before he's had a chance to recover and parry. Another option is I may decide to come up, and beat his head up, and then go in underneath before again he gets a chance to recover. So it's worth being aware that from this high guard, I have the option. I'm going to turn around because I'm talking in my armpit a lot. So from here, my hand is up. I've got that opportunity just to drive forward with that thrust. Now, we do have other thrusts available to us, mainly one coming in this side and one coming in this side, but they break the golden rule. However, as we talked about last week, or maybe the week before, you can break the golden rule under certain circumstances. So if Andrew's come into an attack here, and I take my block here, and I'm okay because my cane is on top, I now have that option to drive that point in around here and deliver that thrust without breaking the golden rule, because from there I can get back into recovery. So I can use those thrusts. Likewise, I can do the same thing as well. If he was to come in for an attack on the other side, it's less visible, but I can take my block here, cane's on top, and then I've got my thrust into the stomach, and he can't hit my head without a lot of movement there. And then again, from there, I recover back to my normal position. So I have these thrusts available to me, and I'm going to work those in normally after I've done a parry or after I've done a cut. I have those thrusts. The other way is when we come to look at feints, we'll revisit them again, because if I thrust that a little bit and he goes to parry, yeah, he's moved over to expose his arm as well. So I'm going to use those thrusts very much from a kind of feigning point of view, which we'll be talking about next week. The other time it's quite useful is if I am not yet at guard, and this verges a little away from Vigny and more into a gentleman called Cunningham, but if my cane is down on the floor and I have an opponent coming in, whether even with a baseball bat or something rather than a Vigny style cane, it doesn't take a lot of imagination to realise that this isn't going to be a particularly powerful strike, but that is still going to be a really powerful thrust. So rather than initiating this by trying to, I can try and smack his hand or whatever, there are tricks I can do, but I don't want to, from here, just try and bring it up and down into his head, because I'm going to get smacked in the side of the head before I even get there. Whereas I can get up and through with that rising thrust quite easily. So there are times where I'm going to use it. Now, we've talked a lot about this end. I want to very quickly cover this end, which is the butt of the weapon. So normally I'm going to use this in very specific situations. And I'm going to use it when my cane ends up over my shoulder normally. So if an attack comes in here, and I block here, if I've ended up blocking quite far back, and as you can see, my point is quite far behind me. I didn't parry properly, I've ended up being caught a bit wrong here. What I can do is look to drive the point into my opponent's face, rather than trying to get my cut back online. So attack comes in, here, I've kind of tied myself up for the cut I want. I don't want to bring it behind my head, because it opens up my head, so my only option, drive the butt forward into his face. Another time that I may well look at that kind of tactic is if I come in with a downward strike, which gets blocked, I may choose, instead of recovering here and waiting for the next thing, to swing this through and deliver the butt into the net if I go to the other side. there's a little triangle just at the bottom of your neck, which is really sore if you jam something in it. So that becomes an option as well. So, as well as all of the cuts and things we've also got some thrusts, and we've got the butt of the weapon we can use as well. And I think that covers all of the basic techniques. So next week, what we're going to do is we're going to pick up on how we combine these together to actually try and get through. Because the problem at the minute is, if I attack and Andrew parries, and then he attacks me and I parry, we can do whichever combination we want. I'm just waiting for him to attack. This drill goes on forever because neither of us are doing anything other than attacking and defending in time. So we're going to look at how to break that sequence and actually start to make this a bit more reasonable. I'll also not just throw on choreographed stuff at Andrew and make him parry on the fly again because it worries him. And my insurance company. But anyway, more of that another time. For now, I'm going to leave you to think about the point and butt, and I will catch up with you next week.